Dan, I've been giving some serious thought about how willing to buy resonates particularly well in certain industries, and I'm a little bit biased here because I come from technology and software. But based upon the sales cycle and the complexity of the sales cycle in my industry, it would appear that WTB really resonates and works well in that environment. I just want to get your thoughts on it.
Totally agree. And as an addition too, as you know, that I have some technology in my background. But what I've learned, and maybe you found the same thing, is whether it's software or hardware, or whatever, it's a product that has some technology base. It takes some training of the sales force to understand the product. Logical. There's a trap in that the more you know about the product, the more you want to tell people what you know about the product.
Good point.
And it restricts the prospect or potential client from really reflecting on what they're trying to solve.
Mm-hmm.
So willing to buy helps you facilitate that deep thought about what they're trying to solve and resist the tendency for the sales force to tell everything they know about their product.
You know, and that really dovetails nicely into something I've been giving a lot of thought to in larger organizations, particularly looking at software and technology solutions. We have a tendency to call on the IT team. And in reality, we're trying to solve business problems. So often we go in the decision cycle, one of our pillars, decision cycle is not clear or it's misinterpreted. So I think it's very important that we get to the right folks when we're trying to provide technology or software solutions.
Not only that, that's an excellent point. The decision cycle is also determining who's all involved in the decision.
Right.
Because as you know, willing to buy is not an organizational only framework, it's an individual framework.
Good point.
To the people that are involved in the decision. So if somebody has their hands on the decision, each and every one of them has their own little willing to buy framework that you have to work with. And in exploring that, especially in a complex sale, you begin to be able to position for yourself, with their help, by the way, whether they're with wanting this decision, against wanting this decision, or neutral. So it enables you to address the obstacles to getting to a decision with individuals prior to having to present it to just the CIO.
Let's talk for a moment about the difficulty of getting to organizational justification. We find that's pretty hard to ferret out sometimes, and even when you hear a proposed justification, it's doubtful that that's really the underlying justification. Have you found in your career that it's difficult to get to that reality?
Absolutely, and I think it takes some stating about willing to buy. Willing to buy is a framework and a process by which you get the clarification. If you don't get all the way there, you get 50% of the way there. Just by asking those questions, you put yourself at a competitive edge of understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Now, back to your point about justification evident. I believe justification evident is just a stream of questioning that allows you to see whether the customer has thought on tangible results. As we know in our careers, sometimes we engage with people and they themselves haven't done justification. It's better, faster, cheaper. Right. It's more effective. It's more efficient. And as you know, a lot of times our proposals fall apart when those generic words of efficiency and effectiveness meet the hold card reality of a $100,000 expenditure. Right. So the reason for the justification evident approach to attack just the problem you're saying is we are able to help the customer clarify or see what needs to be clarified in order to have a good business case.
You know, you mentioned something earlier today that really resonated with me, and that is, even when you were with IBM and it was really about iron, you viewed it as what business problem is being solved. Exactly. You know, and I totally agree with you there. It's not about faster processing all the time. It's about a strategic goal that you're trying to reach as a company. So I found it when I was in the hardware business, it was difficult to get the CEO, CFO to talk about those strategic elements of deploying faster technology or whatever.
Because that's an excellent point, because selling should be a collaboration between potential clients and solutions providers.
Right.
But it's always starts off as mildly adversarial. In other words,
yes, absolutely.
whenever anybody comes in and says, I'm with so-and-so and I'm a salesperson, most of the hair on the back of our neck goes up and say, uh-oh. It's that uh-oh that we have to overcome. We don't overcome it by talking more about what we know about our product. We overcome it by getting them to talk about what's going on. And the Willing to Buy framework facilitates that.
It certainly does, and I go back to one of the quotes that we have in our book where we're talking about you. Basically, as funny as it sounds, selling from the heart. In other words, you're trying to solve somebody's problem and make their corporate life better for them. So, in the next session, let's talk a little bit more about how it relates directly to the technology industry.
Right. Thank you, Phil, and thank you all.
Thank you.